At a funeral, Ray White and his companions stand before a grave, mourning the loss of someone. His friend hugs him. On the battlefield, Ray rushes toward Howard, who has been brutally injured. With his last breath, Howard tells Ray he must survive. Ray looks around and sees another friend dead. He screams. A dome of ice encases him as he lifts his friend's body. At Arnold Academy of Sorcery, Ray catches a girl who nearly falls. One of her friends is shocked that a freshman is already showing off on the first day. They dismiss him as ordinary, and the girl he helped recoils in disgust. Albert and his group confront Ray. Ray extends a hand to introduce himself, but Albert slaps it away, declaring only nobles belong at their prestigious academy, known for producing elite graduates. Ray fires back, saying he's here to learn. Albert lunges at him, but Ray dodges. When Albert tries again, Rose orders him to stop. As one of the school's top 3 nobles, Rose commands respect. Albert scoffs, refusing to accept someone ordinary like Ray, then storms off with his lackeys. Rose approaches Ray, asking if he's okay. He nods, and she introduces herself as Amelia Rose, offering her hand. She remarks that an ordinary student admitted here must be talented and invites him to seek her help if needed. In the school hall, the principal addresses the freshmen, urging hard work and humility. She introduces herself as Abby Garnett before exiting. Amelia Rose takes the stage as the freshman representative, echoing the principal's message. Ray is assigned to a class where his teacher, Helena Grady, asks him to introduce himself. He does, exchanging a few words with Amelia before sitting. Albert glares as Ray takes a seat by the window, lost in memories. Miss Gray hurls chalk to snap him back to attention. Ray catches it reflexively, but it explodes in his face. She scolds him, and he apologizes. Miss Gray quizzes the class on sorcery ranks. Amelia answers, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and the sacred rank, grand. Only 7 grand sorcerers exist at any time, the world's greatest. She calls their existence a mystery, naming a few: Principal Abby Garnett, the Blaze Sorcerer; Carol Caroline, the Spellbinding Sorcerer; and the Iceblade Sorcerer from the Far East, who vanished after ending the war. The others remain unknown. Gray declares that Arnold Academy's ultimate goal is to mold students into grand sorcerers. Albert interrupts, demanding why an ordinary like Ray was admitted. Gray silences him, stating everyone there earned their place through exams and interviews. Nobility means nothing. Miss Gray takes the next lesson, where the class practices sorcery. She asks Amelia for the definition of sorcery. Amelia explains it as the art of reconstructing prima materia, the fundamental building block of matter in their world. Miss Gray praises her and discusses the code of sorcery, demonstrating it to the class. The process involves encoding and decoding prima materia until it materializes. She creates ice flowers and then dissolves them. Rose asks if there are limits to what prima materia can reconstruct, and Miss Gray replies there are none. She classifies matter into 4 categories, stating anything beyond that is called a phenomenon. A hooded girl at the back asks if Miss Gray used anti-material code to disintegrate the ice flowers. The teacher says it's different and advises students not to worry about that level of sorcery yet. She then tells the class to begin. Rose follows the procedure and successfully makes an ice flower. Wanda approaches to compliment her. Meanwhile, the other students watch Ray struggle to produce even an ice cube. Albert gets angry and says he refuses to acknowledge Ray. After class, Ray walks through the hallway, admiring the school's flawless design. He notices the hooded girl from earlier entering the library and follows her. Introducing himself, he learns her name is Elisa. They sit together, and Elisa mentions Dr. Ainsworth is her role model. She asks if Ray likes Dr. Ainsworth, and he admits he loves the author. Elisa speaks excitedly, her hood slipping to reveal pointed ears. Embarrassed, she tries to hide them, but Ray reassures her he doesn't mind. She remarks that he acts more mature than his age, and Ray says he's heard that before. He calls her ears beautiful, making her blush. They part on good terms, with Ray hoping to see her again. Ray then heads to a room and meets Evie Armstrong. Evie greets him, saying he doesn't care whether Ray is noble or ordinary. They shake hands, confirming they're both physically fit, and become roommates. The next morning, Ray jogs and accidentally startles Rebecca. He apologizes, but she compliments his effort. Introducing himself, Ray learns he's the Academy's first ordinary student. Rebecca Bradley, a 3rd year, introduces herself in return. On the way to school, Ray asks Evie about Rebecca, and Evie explains the Bradleys are one of the 3 most powerful family alongside the Roses and Algren's rivaling royalty. He mentions Amelia is the first daughter of the Rose family. They separate at school, with Evie reminding Ray to be early for swordsmanship class. As Ray walks away, he collides with a blonde girl. She demands an apology, even though she ran into him. He complies, complimenting her pigtails. Smiling, she introduces herself as Clarice Cleveland. Ray doesn't recognize her family name but apologizes again, calling her cute. When he asks why she's in a hurry, she remembers and dashes off. Ray meets the principal, calling her Colonel. She corrects him, saying they've both retired and to call her Abby. Laughing, she says he hasn't changed and glances at a photo on her desk, remarking how Ray brings back memories. During swordsmanship class, Albert and Ray face off in a mock battle. The instructor warns he'll intervene if things get serious. Albert taunts Ray, calling him a withered wizard and saying it was nice knowing him. Evie introduces himself to Amelia as Ray's friend. The other students worry for Ray, but once the battle starts, Ray effortlessly redirects Albert's strike. When Albert swings again, Ray breaks his stick with the tip of his sword. Watching from afar, Abby smiles and calls Ray the Iceblade Sorcerer. Gladiator he's enjoying his student life. Evie and Ray are working out in a room. Evie asks Ray if he's in 2 clubs, and Ray confirms he is. Ray says he's thrilled to finally be at the academy and plans to give it his all. Evie warns him it'll be tough, but Ray reassures her not to worry. He shows Evie a golden card and says he'll be fine. Ray walks into a room full of muscular students. He talks to the leader about joining their environmental research club. The other members mention how fearless you have to be to join. The leader eyes Ray and tells him to take off his shirt since he doesn't look buff enough. Ray strips immediately, revealing his toned physique. Impressed, the leader pulls out a card and asks if Ray has a gold hunter license. Ray shows it, shocking the members they didn't expect an average guy to have one. The leader shakes Ray's hand and officially welcomes him into the club. Ray heads to another club and asks to join. He talks to Rebecca, the club leader, about his interest in resilient plants. She asks if he loves flowers, and he says yes. Rebecca wonders if he's okay being the only guy, and Ray says he has no issue talking to women. Danny butts in, accusing Ray of only joining to chase Rebecca. The students murmur, but Rebecca quiets them. She assigns Dina to oversee Ray, believing he'll show his true colors soon. Dina introduces herself, ready to judge if he's worthy. Ray is taken to a rooftop overrun with weeds. His task, turn it into a garden in a week. Dina leaves, convinced even luck won't save him. Day 1, Ray clears all the weeds. Day 2, he tills the soil. Day 3, he builds garden walls. Rebecca checks in, bringing sandwiches. She mentions she's student council president and offers help if he needs it. They hear sword practice nearby and watch. Rebecca tells him about the upcoming magic sword tournament to crown the strongest fighter. She asks if he'll join, and he says he'll consider it. She stares at his biceps and asks to touch them. Ray agrees, and she compliments their perfect shape. Ray says he trained in the backwoods. Rebecca admits it's her first time feeling a man's muscles. Wanda and her friends spy on them through a window, assuming Ray's cozying up to Rebecca because she's from a top noble family. Amelia watches from another window. By day 4, Ray's garden is spectacular, just missing flowers. Danny passes by, and Rebecca tells them to bring some. Walking down a path, Ray remembers Abby giving him a mission. She hands him a letter about an imperial spy within the kingdom. Abby suspects someone infiltrated the academy and has alerted the staff. She tells Ray to report anything suspicious quietly and quickly. Spotting Clarice, Ray calls out. Startled, she relaxes when she sees him. He asks why she's crouching, and she says she's into bugs. Ray says it's not weird, he likes them too. Ray calls Clarice his friend, and she reacts strangely. He apologizes, but she says she's never had a friend before. She's overjoyed at making her first one. Ray notes the sunset and mentions wanting to talk about the insects he saw in the forest, promising to tell her next time. He compliments her for being fun to talk to, making her blush before she says goodbye and leaves. The next day, Miss Gray teaches the class about the origins of sorcery, calling it a technical topic. She asks Ray to explain what he knows. He lists low grade, mid grade, high grade, and holy grade as the main categories, along with 7 derivations: quick, remote, chain, delay, material shift, extensive, and extensive chain. Miss Gray praises him for being correct and studying well. Some students are impressed, but Albert is annoyed. Miss Gray announces their practical exercise will be in Kafka Forest and tells them to form groups of 4. As classmates pair up, Ray wonders who'll join him. Evie approaches and teams up with him. Spotting Elisa alone, Ray invites her, but she worries she'll be a burden. He lifts her chin and insists his team needs her. Blushing, she agrees. Amelia then asks if they have room, shocking the class when the top noble joins Ray's group. In the forest, Miss Gray explains their goal: reach the center while hitting every checkpoint. The number of stamps collected affects their final score. They have 24 hours, with warnings about the forest dangers and a strict no-help rule. Violators risk repeating the year. After the start signal, Ray's team waits. Elisa seems uneasy, but Amelia reassures her. Evie notices Ray isn't nervous. Ray says the forest feels nostalgic, reminding him of his time roaming woods and mountains. Amelia suggests he and Evie lead, but Ray prefers guarding the middle, stepping in as needed. He assigns Amelia and Evie as vanguard. Once the flare fires, the teams rush in. Ray's group encounters a monster, which he slays. They stamp their paper and move on. Other teams face their own challenges. At camp that night, they recap the day Ray's monster kills and useful advice. He mentions coming from the backwoods, but Amelia doubts him, saying he's different. Evie points out the same goes for her. He admits he didn't expect a noble like her to team up with an ordinary. Amelia scoffs at classism, saying she hates formalities. She vents about working hard to earn her status, but enjoys their camaraderie, suddenly hugging Elisa and calling her cute. Evie tells Ray the team relies on him, sparking a sad memory of a comrade saying the same. Wondering if he deserves happiness, Ray snaps out of it when Amelia notices his mood. He tells everyone to rest for tomorrow. Keeping watch, Ray recalls his master's advice: only reveal his true self to trusted friends. He wrestles with what to do. The next morning, his team hears a scream. Ray rushes toward it, finding Albert's group trapped by a monster. He attacks and kills it, offering Albert a hand. Albert refuses, snarling he doesn't need help. Amelia asks if Ray took down the monster alone. He confirms, and she demands, "Who are you?" Meanwhile, a hidden figure in the woods revives the monster, making it stronger. The monster looks even more terrifying than before. It snarls at the students, making them scream. Ray glares at it angrily. Clarice and her group walk nearby, and she hears the growl. Curious, she peeks from behind a tree to see it. Ray fights the monster, noting how tough it is. He nearly uses his ice ability, but Amelia throws flames in front of the monster, giving him space. Evie and Elisa team up for a combined attack, slamming the monster with a rock. Ray follows up and slices it in half. Evie praises him, while Amelia pats Elisa, who hugs her out of fear. Ray glances at his team and sees echoes of his old party members in them. Albert frees his teammate. Clarice hides behind a tree, stunned by Ray's strength. The cloaked figure controlling the monster vanishes. Ray's team stamps their last paper as they reach the forest center. Elisa apologizes for being a burden, but Ray doesn't mind carrying her. He mentions it's part of the training he and Evie did in the forest. Amelia tickles Elisa, who's piggybacking on Ray. After the drill, the instructor announces the results. Amelia's team takes first place, and Clarice claps for them happily. She notices other students giving her cold looks and wonders why the mood is so tense. Evie points out that the others aren't happy with their performance. Elisa and Amelia celebrate their hard work. Elsewhere, Lydia sits in a wheelchair. Her maid reassures her it's too early to worry. Lydia admits she knows, but says it only takes 3 days for a boy to change and Ray's been gone for 2 months. The maid tells her Ray is nearby, making Lydia glance out the window. The maid leaves to fetch him, only to turn back and see Lydia fixing her hair. The maid, Carla, meets Ray, and they exchange greetings before she takes him to Lydia. He finds her in a tidy room, and they introduce themselves. She invites him to sit. Lydia asks how he's doing, and he says he's fine but still adjusting to his body. She explains it'll take about 5 years to fully adapt and reminds him that using his ice magic is forbidden unless absolutely necessary. After all, she passed the title of strongest ice sorcerer to him. Lydia explains she called him because of rumors circulating among researchers. Ray asks if rumors are worth worrying about. She says this isn't just gossip, it involves Engram. He presses for details, and she reveals she's been researching something beyond the sorcery code, the brain. She explains the brain processes information and materializes it through contact with prima materia, announcing the twofold theory has sparked a new movement, linking sorcery research directly to the brain. She asks where sorcery memories are stored, and he answers, Engram. She theorizes that studying the brain could decode sorcery itself, maybe even reveal the truth about their world. She shows him a letter, warning that some will do anything to get what they want. Ray asks who, and she calls them the eugenics. Lydia describes them as a group willing to cross humanity's moral boundaries. They approached her, expecting her to join. She burns the letter as she speaks, adding that they've been recruiting other sorcerers too. Without human dignity, she says, sorcery can't progress. Ray takes Lydia outside for a walk, which she enjoys. She reminisces about their training days, the Ainsworth-style boot camp, a place even the military gave up on. She asks if he's made friends, and he confirms. He tells her about Elisa, who loves her books. Lydia asks him to bring his friends next time. He's surprised by her enthusiasm, but she says she'd love to meet the people who softened his smile. They reach a tree, and Lydia remarks that it's almost June. She mentions the upcoming Magic Chevalier competition and boasts about winning it 4 times in a row. She tells Ray she believes he could do the same if he tried, but Ray insists he prefers staying in the background, partly due to his recovery. Lydia tells him to do as he likes, since she can't protect him in her current state. Ray disagrees, but she hands him a small book, saying it's for him. He thanks her, and she playfully demands more praise. Over the weekend, outside Elisa's dorm, she spots Ray jogging by. He stops and asks where she's headed. Elisa says she's going to the library and bookstore in the Middle District. Ray asks to join, making her blush. Later, Elisa changes into a cute outfit and apologizes for making him wait. Ray compliments her look, and she thanks him, returning the compliment. When he asks why she changed, she says it's because they're going out together. At the library, Elisa struggles to reach a book, so Ray helps her. He notices it's one of Lydia's works and praises her taste. As they read, Elisa asks what he's into, and Ray says it's a romance novel by Luna Ether, which he enjoys. Later, they leave and are spotted by Clarice, who hesitates before Ray invites her to lunch. During the meal, Ray introduces the girls, speaking so highly of them that they're flattered. They chat about various things before parting ways. Afterward, Ray runs into Amelia, who vents about her exhausting week. He reassures her, and she asks about his day. Hearing his plans, she gets jealous and insists they hang out since there's still time. Amelia drags him shopping, trying on outfits while Ray compliments each one. She asks why he's so comfortable around girls, and he explains he grew up surrounded by women. While changing, she spots a spider, panics, and runs out in her underwear, clinging to Ray. Embarrassed, she dashes back inside. Ray apologizes for touching her bare skin, but she says it wasn't his fault. Amelia wonders if she should reveal his true nature to her. Ray later meets Miss Gray, who asks about his student life. He says he's enjoying it, surprising her since she expected struggles as a commoner in a noble school. She recalls students who left due to pressure but vows to support him as his teacher. Ray thanks her, feeling lucky to have good friends and mentors. Meanwhile, in the forest, Albert trains, shouting for Ray to wait. A cloaked figure watches from a tree treetop, grinning. Ray does squats with his environmental research club members. Evie asks if they can buy protein after their meeting, but Ray turns him down. Later, Ray meets up with Dina, who hands him the key to the club. She mentions that he might arrive before Rebecca, their club president, and he agrees. Ray thanks her and heads to the club room. When he opens the inner door, he finds Rebecca in her underwear, getting ready to change. He quickly closes the door and apologizes, but she screams. A while later, Rebecca serves him tea and explains that her gym class ended earlier than usual, so she decided to change in the club room. Ray apologizes again, but she assures him it wasn't his fault. Embarrassed, she asks him to forget about it. Rebecca then shows him a book about plants and mentions she found one capable of performing sorcery. She takes him to their garden and points out a carnivorous plant. As they discuss it, she pauses for a moment. Ray asks if something's wrong, but she says she's just happy to teach a new member about plants. Ray suggests she could teach other club members too, but Rebecca admits her political status makes it hard for them to feel at ease around her. She's glad Ray is easy to talk to. He borrows her book, and they continue their discussion under a shed. She confirms that Ray will be part of the organizational staff for the Magic Chevalier. He mentions he plans to cheer for Amelia, and Rebecca calls her the top favorite in the rookie bracket. Curious, Ray asks if anyone from the third family attends their academy. Rebecca explains that the Algrins traditionally go to a different sorcery academy. She mentions the family's eldest daughter would be a strong rival for Amelia. During swordsmanship practice, Amelia defeats another student and asks the instructor if she can spar with Ray next. Though he isn't enrolled in the tournament, Ray agrees. They battle, and Amelia wonders how he got so skilled. She tells him she plans to hit him, but Ray parries every attack. As they fight, he recalls a familiar face. He nearly strikes her but stops himself, kneeling instead. The instructor declares Amelia the winner. Ray walks up to her and praises her skill. She tries asking what happened and who he really is, but he avoids answering. Meanwhile, Albert glares at Ray while he talks to Amelia. At lunch, Ray's friends, including Clarice, eat together and compliment him and Amelia on their match. Evie asks where Ray learned to fight like that, and he says he had a master who taught him everything, though she was brutal with his training. Nearby, students gossip about Ray's performance. Albert approaches their table and challenges Ray to a duel, which he accepts. On an open field, Albert and Ray's friends watch as the two take their positions. They worry if Ray will be alright. Clarice notices a barrier around the area and wonders if it's meant to block out noise. Ray asks Albert about the rules of their duel, and Albert tosses a real sword onto the ground. He tells Ray that sorcery will be allowed in their fight. Albert attacks, but Ray dodges and grabs the sword. A cloaked figure watches from the trees. Ray senses Albert's rage. Albert declares he'll never lose to Ray and summons a fiery magic orb in his left hand. He remembers his noble family being humiliated. Despite their status, they were near the bottom of the middle tier. He vowed to restore his house's honor. Then, a voice urges him to kill Ray White. Ray dodges Albert's spells, slices one apart with his sword, and charges forward. He tells Albert he'll teach him just how vast their world really is. Albert conjures a flaming dragon and hurls it at Ray, but Ray splits it in two, shocking everyone. He walks back to his friends, who demand answers about who he really is. Suddenly, magic forces all the students except Ray to the ground. The hooded figure steps forward, revealing herself as Miss Gray. Ray promises to explain the truth, but says he'll have to fight the professor first. He confronts Gray, calling her a member of the eugenics group and accusing her of manipulating Albert. She admits it, furious. Ray warns her to face the consequences of her actions. Gray reveals she plans to study the engram in his brain. She fires 2 homing spells, but Ray evades them. When she targets his friends, he remembers his master's words and unlocks his hidden power, shielding them with ice. Gray recognizes him as the Ice Blade and attacks with fireballs, but Ray easily destroys them with an ice sword. She launches an attack. She believes even a grand sorcerer couldn't stop yet. Ray nullifies it with magic. Realizing she's outmatched, Gray tries to flee, but Ray slashes her ankle. Begging for mercy, she offers a Delvin attacks point blank, but the spell fizzles before touching Ray. Knowing she can't win, she injects herself with an experimental serum, transforming into a monstrous creature. Ray clashes with Gray as the barrier around them shatters. Gray attacks in her human form, but her strikes miss Ray. Confused, she questions why her attacks fail, and Ray explains that her ice blades are just emblems, not her true essence. She launches another attack, but Ray slows it before dissolving it completely. He then asks her the key difference between fire and ice magic. Gray answers that it's whether the code speeds up or slows down particle vibrations. Ray confirms that ice magic relies on deceleration, and his mastery over it both in slowing and anchoring is unmatched. He reveals he uses anti-material code, allowing him to revert spells back to raw materia. Raising an ice blade, Ray points it at the professor. She fires a mind control spell, but Ray shatters it with icicles. His friends notice he's bleeding. His movements grow sluggish as he battles Gray. She lunges at him, but Ray traps her in a massive crystal, causing flowers to bloom inside. He deactivates his powers, but his body buckles under the strain. His friends rush toward him, calling his name, but he collapses before they reach him. Ray remembers being rescued by Lydia on the battlefield. She carries him to their base. Abby asks who the kid is, while Caroline jokes if Lydia's already a mom. Lydia playfully throws an ice blade at her. The colonel demands an explanation, and Lydia says she found Ray as the sole survivor. Later, Abby tells Lydia the orphanage refuses to take Ray, despite him being from their country. She suspects he's from a special, independent village owned rumored to be cursed, practicing voodoo. Lydia scoffs at the idea of such things in modern times. Abby then informs her Ray's awake, and Lydia rushes to his room. Caroline tries asking his name, but he stays silent until Lydia arrives. She requests a status update, and Ray finally speaks. Lydia introduces herself. Days pass, and Lydia returns to play ball with Ray, only to find Caroline reading him a picture book. She boasts that he's been reading with her, teasing him to use her nickname, but he refuses. Lydia ruffles his hair, and he smiles a rare sight. Amused, Lydia promises to regale him with tales of her bravery. Later, Lydia asks Abby if they found a place for Ray. With no luck, Abby hints at Lydia taking him in, but Lydia insists their soldier sit's impossible. She wonders what Caroline will say. The next day, Caroline refuses to let Ray go, claiming she can support him. The colonel's assistant reminds her they're on a mission, so Caroline suggests taking him home. The colonel turns to Abby and Lydia for input. Abby proposes an orphanage or adoption. Lydia hesitates, then calls Ray over, asking what he wants. He clings to her and says he wants to stay. Lydia accepts his wish, telling the colonel her sister's family has a kid his age. She vows Carol and Abby will help, and she'll take full responsibility. The colonel asks if something's driving her, and Lydia admits Ray needs proper guidance. The colonel agrees to her request on the condition that it doesn't interfere with her duties. Lydia tells Ray that he'll be staying with them and should address her as his master. 6 years later, during the Far East War, Ray enters the battlefield and defeats the enemy forces. He returns to camp to reunite with his master. Lydia and Abby survey the battlefield, noting the corpses of those who died from sorcery overuse their bodies scorched from overheating. Lydia remarks that this fate could befall anyone in battle. Back at base, the colonel briefs his troops on the loss of 2 of the 7 grand sorcerers. He warns that the fighting will intensify and urges them to stay sharp. Parain suggests Ray withdraw due to his youth, but he insists that Lydia taught him those with talent have a duty. Ray calls his comrades family, saying he's prepared for harsh battles since enlisting. Howard reassures him, vowing to protect him no matter what. On the battlefield, Ray witnesses Howard being brutally struck down. As Howard collapses, he tells Ray to keep living before fading away. Ray wakes in a hospital bed with Lydia at his side. She touches his forehead, asking if he's okay. He sits up and apologizes for overusing his powers, but Lydia says she'd have done the same. She hints he'll eventually outgrow the need for the Chronos lock. Ray asks about the others, and Abby confirms they're fine, thanking him for his efforts. Lydia pats his head and asks him to visit her when he's free. Carla whispers to Ray, revealing how worried Lydia was, and advising him to rest. Later, Abby admits she initially opposed Ray joining the academy, fearing discrimination from nobles. She explains Lydia personally begged her Revan, bowing her head first. Lydia leaves the school grounds, crying in relief that Ray is safe. Abby tells Ray to enjoy school life before exiting. Overwhelmed by Lydia's kindness, Ray tears up. His friends visit, and he confirms he's okay, before revealing he's the Iceblade sorcerer. He shares his past, fighting alongside Lydia in the Far East War, overheating in his last battle, losing control of his engram, and waking to a wasteland with Lydia gravely injured. He explains the Chronos lock suppresses his powers but limits his sorcery skills. Ray admits he's lost friends, harmed Lydia, and killed countless enemies, questioning if he deserves his new life. Amelia takes his hand, calling him kind, and the others reaffirm their friendship. She hugs him, saying they want him to stay. Remembering Howard's smile, Ray thanks them. That night, Albert visits, apologizing. Ray accepts and advises him to embrace those around him to grow stronger. Albert realizes his mistakes. The next day at school, Caroline replaces Gray as Ray's homeroom teacher. Amelia soaks in her bathtub, muttering that she can't believe Ray is the Iceblade sorcerer. She compares herself to him, saying he's moved past his past while she'll never live up to expectations no matter what. After leaving the tub and drying her hair, she remembers how Ray saw her in her underwear without even flustering. The next day in class, Caroline briefs everyone on the Chevalier tournament. First years will compete in the rookie bracket, while second and third years join the main tournament. Thanks to Rebecca's previous win, their school gets 6 slots. Caroline winks at Ray, sending a shiver down his spine. After class, he rushes to Abby to report her, even demanding she fire Caroline only for Caroline to overhear and chase him around, insisting he let her pat him like old times. Abby sighs, telling Ray to give up since Caroline's too talented a sorcerer to mess with. During swordsmanship training, Ray and Clarice watch the duels. When Clarice asks who'll win, Ray predicts correctly, unnerving her. They see Amelia defeat her opponent, her expression bored, like she's just going through the motions. Amelia recalls her father's order. She must not lose to Ariane of House Algren. Later, Ray asks Rebecca about Ariane in the club room. Rebecca confirms Ariane's already been chosen as one of Diem's representatives, a strong fighter who uses noble pride as her driving force. Dina adds that Ariane's movements are graceful. Rebecca believes Amelia will at least put up a fight. Amelia sweeps her preliminary matches, securing her spot in the Magic Chevalier. Everyone praises her, and Clarice notes she won every fight in under 10 seconds. Albert takes second place. Noticing Amelia's demeanor, Ray checks the book his master gave him. On her way home, Amelia runs into Ray. He congratulates her but points out her opponents were too weak, then asks if she wants to get stronger. Amelia admits Ariana now in the rookie bracket is stronger. Ray offers to train her before the tournament, assuring her he'll only instruct. He shows her his master's book, the same one he used to build his foundation, but warns her the training will be brutal. Amelia remembers her childhood with Ariana, how they were once close, until Ariane beat her in swordplay and cut ties. She suspects Ariane now values strength above all else. For Amelia, winning isn't just about Pridate's survival. The next day, Ray waits outside the girls' dorm, wearing a mask and introducing himself as Master White, her new instructor. He takes her to Kafka Forest for training, then brings her back exhausted. Even when she struggles to stand, he calls it a light day, promising more tomorrow. In class, her friends notice how drained she is. Ray pushes her so hard she even tries to run from him. Amelia dreams of hanging out with her friends, but Ray interrupts her by waking her up with a frying pan and a spoon. Rebecca and Dina meet Ray outside their dorm. Dina gets mad at him for causing a commotion so early in the morning. Ray compliments them on how good they look in their pajamas. Out of the corner of his eye, he spots Amelia trying to sneak out of the dorm. He chases after her but can't find her. Ray notices Albert sitting at a table. Albert asks him how to get stronger, saying he's been training every day but still doubts himself. Ray tells him there's no need to rush and reassures him that he's already gotten stronger. In the library, Clarice complains about not understanding her homework. Elisa sits with her and fixes her hair. Ray walks in, searching for Amelia. He puts on his mask and uses magic to locate her. Amelia hides inside a podium, grumbling about her training being too hard. Ray finds her and drags her along, saying he won't let go of her hand since she's run away from training twice now. Elisa and Clarice watch as Ray pulls Amelia away. Ray meets up with his environmental research club and asks them to cheer for Amelia to boost her morale. Evie backs him up, and he convinces the others to support her. The club president calls Ray over and hands him a bag, warning him not to be swayed by its contents. Ray promises he won't. At the boys' dorm, Evie wakes up and sees a girl leaving his room. Outside the girls' dorm, Elisa and Clarice watch as Amelia runs, beating her previous record. She thanks them for coming out early to watch her practice. They notice a girl walking past them and wonder who she is. Near the garden, Rebecca and Dina also see the girl pass by. Rebecca points out that she's wearing Diam's uniform. Dina is confused because the girl called them senpai as she walked by. The girl thinks to herself that she's flawless and heads to Diam Academy. There, she hides inside a large cardboard box. A little girl cries, asking where her sister is. The box opens, and the girl stares at her. The girl introduces herself as Lily White to the little girl. The little girl says her name is Tiana Olgren. Lily takes her hand and walks her around the school while searching for her sister. Some girls glance at Lily, and Lily looks back at them. They collapse after meeting her gaze. Tiana spots her sister and calls out to her. Ariane offers Lily tea and thanks her for helping with her sister. She mentions that Lily isn't a student at their academy. Lily speaks in a deep, masculine voice, revealing herself to actually be Ray. Ariane is shocked, wondering how he pulled off looking and sounding like a girl. She says she's heard rumors about him and is surprised they've spread to another school. Ariane insists she can't let Lily go unrewarded for finding her sister. Lily challenges her to a swordsmanship match. They duel with wooden sticks, and Ariane knocks Lily's stick away. Later, the two girls see Tiana off, and Lily compliments both her and Ariane. Ariane blushes and asks if that's how he usually talks to girls. Ray explains he was taught to praise girls whenever he sees them. Ariane asks if Lily will compete in the swordsmanship tournament, but Lily says he's helping organize it instead. He mentions training his friend Amelia, who he believes will win the rookie division. Ariane says she'll look forward to it. On the way to Arnold Academy, Lily spots a white-haired girl crying as she leaves the school. She trips, and Lily catches her, joking that it'd be a shame if her fair skin got hurt. The girl stops Lily and asks for her name. Lily introduces herself as Lily White, and the girl says she's Maria Bradley. Recognizing the surname, Lily deduces she's Rebecca's younger sister and mentions how well Rebecca has treated him. Maria says she was unsure about attending their school, but meeting Lily has convinced her. She asks Lily to wait for her next year before hurrying off. Lily smiles as she watches her go. Amelia struggles to catch her breath during training for the tournament. Clarice and Elisa cheer her on, and she thanks them. Lily speaks to her in Ray's voice, and Amelia instinctively responds. The girls stare, realizing it's actually Ray. Amelia is baffled why a girl has Ray's voice, but Ray explains he was on a mission. They freak out upon realizing he transformed into a girl. The next day, Ray and his friends visit Lydia at her home. She welcomes them and teases Ray about getting taller. Evie introduces himself as Ray's dorm mate and buddy. Lydia eyes him and notes his muscular build, telling him to keep working hard and stay friends with Ray. Elisa introduces herself, and Lydia compliments her large chest. Elisa pulls out a book, calling herself a fan, and asks for an autograph. Lydia borrows a pen from Carla, signs it, and Elisa leaps with joy. Clarice stutters through her introduction, nervous. Lydia mentions hearing Clarice wants to be a hunter, surprising her. Lydia explains she knows the head of the Cleveland family, who discussed it with her. She reveals her Platinum Hunter card, shocking Clarice with her strength. Lydia encourages her, saying nobility shouldn't stop her from becoming a hunter, and advises her to take the first step. Amelia introduces herself and Lydia recalls meeting her at parties. She asks to speak with Amelia privately. Carla watches them leave and asks Ray to help in the kitchen. There, Carla shares news. The Grim Reaper, an assassination group from the Avil Empire, seems to be making a move. Ray remembers them and wonders what they're planning. Carla admits she lacks details, but suspects they'll act during the Sorcery Sword tournament, where many influential nobles will attend. She warns Ray to stay alert. Lydia takes Amelia to her room and asks what's bothering her. She shows Amelia stacks of letters Ray wrote to her, explaining that Ray used to only send updates about himself, but gradually changed. Lydia reveals that Ray knows Amelia is hiding something, but isn't sure whether to intervene. When she asks if Amelia knows about Ray's past, Amelia confirms she does. Lydia shares how she taught Ray everything, and that he's now stronger than her except when it comes to understanding the human heart. She recalls meeting Ray as a kid who'd given up on the world. His emotions eventually returned, but he was surrounded by soldiers. Lydia admits she sent him to the academy to learn about humanity and make friends. She's glad he succeeded, and reiterates that Ray is worried about Amelia, urging her to rely on him because that's what friends do. Later, Lydia and Amelia return to the sitting room. The students are served meals and told to change into swimsuits afterward, which excites them. That night in the dorm, Ray and Evie work out. Evie mentions having fun that day, which makes Ray smile. Both have handprints on their faces from being slapped by Abby and Carla. The next morning, Amelia follows her usual routine, and Ray notices she's grown stronger. He recalls Lydia's advice from the day before to help Amelia just as she'd helped him. In Kafka Forest, Ray praises Amelia for keeping up with the drill and announces her examination will begin. He pins a rose to his chest and challenges her to cut it, expressing his faith in her. Amelia draws her sword for the final test. On the day of the Sorcery Sword tournament, the principal addresses participants from 3 schools, encouraging them to compete with their best and officially starting the event. Ariane calls out to Amelia as she leaves the arena, noting how she's changed and promising to meet her in the finals. They shake hands in agreement. The semifinals pair Amelia against a student from another school. Abby judges the match and signals the start. The opponent charges, but Amelia leaps over his attack. As he moves toward her, the rose on his chest burns, marking his defeat. Commentator Caroline explains to Dina that Amelia tricked him by planting sorcery in the ground and baiting him. Her schoolmates cheer. Ray then approaches Albert, handing him his rose with encouragement. Albert enters the arena to face Ariane Olgren. Their battle is fierce, but Ariane overpowers Albert, sending him flying. She warns him to surrender before he gets hurt, but Albert refuses. Like his past self, he now acknowledges his weakness but won't quit. He charges again, striking with all his might, but Ariane uses sorcery to shatter his sword and knock him out of the ring. She's declared the winner, leaving Arnold Academy students anxious for Amelia against Ariane's overwhelming strength. Ray slips out of the arena, followed by a shadowy figure. Caroline takes the stage to hype up the crowd for the finals with a song. Ray senses a strange presence approaching him. He glances back but sees no one. A purple miasma creeps along the ground. His environmental research club leader walks toward him, leaving Ray puzzled about the man's identity. He's led to a room where his master, Abby, and Carol sit at a table. Strange guards stand watch. Lydia explains the Hales family's role. Carla adds they oversee the kingdom's intelligence agency. When Lydia reveals Carla is also an agent, Ray is stunned. Carla thanks him for looking after her brother. Confused, Ray wonders who her brother is until his club leader steps forward, introducing himself as Lex Hale. Abby refocuses the group, warning that the Grim Reaper has infiltrated the Magic Chevalier. Their goal? To kidnap or kill noble daughters. She urges Ray to stay alert, as he's likely to cross paths with them. Lex, she adds, is handling student security and can assist if needed. Lydia warns Ray not to hesitate if things get dire. He should use his abilities. That night, Ray gazes from his window, vowing not to let the Grim Reapers interfere with Amelia and the others. The next day, Ray and his friends watch the tournament's main event. Rebecca advances to the finals. Elisa and Clarice mention Amelia hasn't left her room, likely due to exhaustion. Then Lucas Forst, a student from another school, defeats his opponent in seconds. Ray mutters about the insane talent around here. At night, in Agron's mansion, Ariane trains, demolishing a punching bag. Her father enters, carrying her sister. She apologizes for the mess, but he brushes it off, excited for her next competition. Ariane promises victory. Back in their room, Ray and Evie do squats. Evie asks why Ray hasn't visited Amelia. After a pause, Ray takes the advice. At Amelia's door, Elisa and Clarice tell him it's his turn to get through to her, wishing him luck before leaving. Ray speaks through the door, apologizing for keeping his distance. He admits fearing he might hurt her. He doesn't fully understand human emotions, but he wants to learn her heart. The door opens. Amelia, hopeless, confesses her struggle show. Her suffering pales next to his, yet she can't measure up to Ariane no matter how hard she tries. Sobbing, she asks why she's even alive. Ray grips her shoulders. Life has no inherent meaning. He says they must create their own. He wants to live beside her. When she asks if he minds her sadness, he says no has seeing the real Amelia. She hugs him, crying, until he guides her to sleep. her hand clinging to his. As he recalls their final exam show, she shattered his mask. In their duel, he whispers, "I believe in you. You'll win." The final tournament begins. The houses of Algren and Rose are in attendance to watch the championship matches. Ray reunites with his friends and lets them know Amelia will be competing. They cheer, and he notices Clarice isn't with them. Elisa worries Amelia didn't get enough sleep, but Ray assures her she did be spent the whole night with her. They freak out, and he confirms he was with her until morning. He leaves to give Amelia her rose. Clarice rushes in, complaining about how busy she's been, and hoping she makes it in time to see Amelia's fight. A shadowy figure notices her and lurks in the hallway. Ray hands Amelia the rose and reassures her she'll win. She asks for a hug, and he obliges. Lex tells Dina something urgent came up. He meets Ray in the hall and informs him Clarice is missing. Ray says he'll head downstairs, sensing something ominous there. Lex says he'll check on Lydia and his sister before joining him. Amelia enters the arena, where Ariane waits. The announcer kicks off the final rookie sorcery sword tournament. The two wish each other luck and begin their duel. Ariane tosses her sword aside, enhancing her fist with sorcery, and strikes Amelia with the same gut punch she used on Albert. She charges for a second hit, but Amelia parries with her sword. Pushed to the edge of the ring, Amelia braces as Ariane lunges to finish her only to take a point-blank butterfly rose spell to the face. Ariane blocks and retreats. Rose glares and declares she'll win the tournament. Ray heads underground and finds Clarice unconscious on the floor. He wakes her, and she wonders how she got there. A barrier seals the area, and assassins appear. Dina notices the mic isn't working, and Caroline suspects the barrier's effect. Ariane unleashes her trump card. Electricity surges through her body, making her blindingly fast. She easily knocks Amelia back. Ray carries Clarice, trying to escape. She protests, but he tells her to hang on. He activates Kronos, freezing the assassins with his ice abilities. Lex arrives to regroup. The barrier vanishes, and Ray rushes Clarice back to watch Amelia's fight. Amelia struggles to stand, disheartened she can't beat Ariane. Ray shouts encouragement from the arena entrance. Empowered, Amelia rises, clutching a butterfly. She tells Ariane she won't lose and launches the butterfly at her, calling it the butterfly effect. Ariane charges at Amelia and tries to punch her, but she nearly gets thrown out of the ring. She regains her balance and attacks again, but every time her strikes touch the butterflies surrounding Amelia, she's flung in another direction. Clarice is confused, but Caroline explains that Amelia's ability is tied to the chaos theory of the butterfly effect, a rare power that manipulates reality. Caroline says no matter how hard Ariane tries, she'll never reach Amelia. Dina asks if that makes Amelia invincible, but Caroline doubts it. Ariane rushes Amelia again, but Amelia summons a butterfly that teleports her and explodes on impact. Blood trickles from Amelia's nose, a sign her engram is straining. She coughs up more blood, and Ray notes she's overheating. Ariane keeps attacking, and the two trade fierce blows, evenly matched. Their final clash destroys Ariane's rose, ending the fight. Amelia gently rests Ariane's head on her lap. When Ariane wakes up, she tells Amelia she's gotten stronger, making Amelia cry. Amelia credits her friend's support and says Ariane is the reason she's come this far. Thanking her, she makes Ariane tear up too. Ariane vows to become someone Amelia won't be ashamed of, and they hug. Amelia recalls a childhood promise between them to stay friends forever. Dina wraps up the tournament, praising the girls and declaring Amelia the winner. The crowd cheers, and the heads of Rose and Algren applaud. Later, the girls' fathers meet, marveling at their daughter's strength and predicting they'll grow even stronger. Ray visits Amelia in the clinic. Bandaged but recovering, she reflects on everything she did for the tournament. Remembering Ray's promise, she flusters and asks if he knows what her power is. He admits he doesn't, but recalls their fight, calling her talent exceptional. He believes talent is inherited, but says hers only shown through hard work. Ray extends his right hand to shake hers, but seeing her bandaged, they use their left hands instead. Amelia thinks to herself that without Ray, she'd still be a caged bird. The next day, her friends wait outside her gate, heading to the arena for the main finals. Evie urges them to cheer for Rebecca. Rose spots a bird and compares it to herself, happily running ahead of the others. The Coliseum is packed to capacity. Rebecca, last year's Chevalier winner, is set to face Lucas Forst. The crowd roars with excitement. Ray notices Maria watching the match anxiously. The battle begins. Lucas draws his sword and uses a secret technique to instantly destroy Rebecca's flower. The audience is stunned. Lucas Forst wins the tournament and exits the arena. At the entrance, he spots Ray and calls him the Ice Blade Sorcerer. Ray acknowledges him as the Peerless Blade Sorcerer and questions why he competed in a magic chevalier meant for students. Lucas says he did it to prove a point that wants to fight the Ice Blade, and prove that the strongest sorcerer is the Peerless Blade. He asks Ray to cure his overheating so they can battle at full strength. Lucas then says goodbye, telling Ray they'll meet again next year. Ray ponders what the next year will bring. Meanwhile, Abby, Carol, and Lydia head to an underground facility where the captured assassins are tied up. Carol uses her abilities on them, trying to force a confession, but the moment she demands answers, their heads explode one by one. They return to the tournament, where Abby gives a closing speech. Later, Ray proposes that their class run a maid cafe for the upcoming cultural festival. The class is shocked. Most can't imagine nobles serving tea or wearing maid outfits. Ray remembers his conversation with Amelia the day before. She had suggested the idea, but Ray doubted the nobles would agree. Amelia pushed him to convince them, making flimsy excuses about how maids look good. Ray pitches it to the class, arguing that maids are underappreciated and that this could start a new fashion trend. Caroline then removes removes her robe, revealing a maid outfit underneath. The class goes wild over how adorable she looks. After successfully winning over the class, Amelia and Ray leave. Dina rushes up to inform them that Rebecca is getting engaged. Rebecca and her fiancé walk out of the school together. Lord Evan signs a contract with her father, guaranteeing his daughter's safety. That night, a hooded figure meets the glutton as it devours its victim's engram. The figure takes the brain of a dead person and tells the glutton he plans to acquire a specific vessel as soon as possible. The glutton grows curious about the vessel's identity. The masked figure reveals he confirmed the vessel during the Magic Chevalier tournament. They team up, agreeing to secure the vessel. The hooded figure adds that he intends to use Rebecca Bradley for revenge. Meanwhile, in her room, Rebecca bleeds from one eye. The next morning, Ray meets Rebecca watering flowers outside her dorm and greets her. She responds and asks if he's heard about her engagement. He congratulates her, and she assures him she'll keep attending the academy until graduation. Ray says he's happy for her. She shakes his hand, expressing excitement about working together. Ray joins his friends as they plan their maid cafe costumes. Asks Amelia if she'll wear one, but Amelia hesitates, embarrassed by how much skin the dress shows. Ray whispers that she'd look great in it, coaxing her until she agrees. Amelia kicks him playfully, feigning jealousy. Later, Ray checks on the boys setting up the classroom. Impressed, he mentions Elisa will be in costume too, which motivates them to work harder. Evie and Albert thank Ray, crediting him for the class's teamwork. At the flower club, Ray tells Dina about the maid cafe preparations. She's surprised nobles agreed to dress as maids. Noticing missing members, Ray asks why. Rebecca explains her engagement caused tension. The student council secretary was originally engaged to her fiancé, making it seem like Rebecca stole him. Other members side with the secretary and boycott meetings. Ray offers to help, but they insist he focus on the cafe. He persists, and Rebecca finally accepts. As Ray leaves, Dina chases after him, asking for a favor. He agrees without hesitation. She shares her suspicions about Rebecca's engagement, finding it odd since the Bradley and Evan families have no ties. She suspects Lord Evan's motives and asks Ray to investigate. He promises to help. That night, Ray visits Lydia, apologizing for the late hour. He asks about Lord Evan's background. Lydia consults Carla, who shares what she knows nothing shady except the rushed engagement. Lydia tasks Carla with digging deeper, estimating a week for more info. Lydia asks about Ray's class's festival plans. He reveals the maid cafe, claiming no one can resist a maid costume. He points at Carla, saying she'd look attractive, making her blush. Ray admits he thought of her first when Amelia suggested the idea. Carla turns beet red, sparking Lydia's jealousy. Lydia imagines herself in a maid outfit, making Ray laugh. He jokes that a gorilla could never be a maid, earning her wrath. After frantic apologies, Lydia cools off and confirms she and Carla will attend the festival. Rebecca showers in her bathroom, washing blood from her eye. She recalls having the same nightmare about Ray and wonders why he keeps appearing in her dreams. She checks the mirror and notices her eyes glowing. Maria asks why she's up so late, and Rebecca claims she showered because she was sweaty. Maria spots blood on the towel Rebecca is holding and questions her. Rebecca brushes it off as a nosebleed. When Maria asks about her engagement, Rebecca insists everything's fine, wishes Maria finds love, and walks away only to break down crying in her room. Maria was born with white hair, red eyes, and pale skin, making her stand out. She was always treated differently, but Rebecca reassured her she was loved and beautiful. As she grew up, Maria pierced her ears, a taboo in the Bradley household. Her mother scolded her, but Maria fired back, saying she could do what she wanted since Rebecca was the family's golden child. Later, noticing Rebecca's sadness over the engagement, Maria confronted her, only to be yelled at. Hurt, she fled Rebecca's dorm and ran into Lily White. The cultural festival approaches, and Ray's class transforms into a cafe. The girls happily wear maid outfits, earning compliments from Ray. Amelia arrives, and Ray calls her gorgeous, then praises a shy Elisa. Jealous, Amelia playfully hits him and reveals she knows he's been helping the student council. Clarice shows up in a ghost costume, explaining her class is running a haunted mansion. They admire her outfit's exotic flair, and Ray smirks, thinking he can deepen their attraction. Abby asks Caroline about Ray's class and learns they're united with him at the center. Abby stares at a photo of Ray with military men, lost in thought. After school, Ray spots Rebecca leaving and offers to walk her home. She confirms she's no longer using the dorms due to her engagement and will move out after the festival. When Ray mentions his class's teamwork, she smiles, saying she's excited to see it. Evan interrupts, introducing himself to Ray and thanking him for escorting his fiancée. Ray watches Evan take Rebecca home, recalling Dina's warning about Evan Bernstein. Lex then whisks Ray away to a meeting. There, Carla reveals no humans live in the Bernstein Manor, it's been abandoned for years. Abby asks if Evan attends aristocratic or sorcery gatherings, and Carla confirms, suggesting he's maintained his deception for a long time. Lydia deduces Evan is after Rebecca's sorcerer eyes. Abby speculates he's a collector involved with eugenics. Elsewhere, a masked figure meets the glutton in a shadowy building. The glutton asks for an update, and the figure revealed as Evan Bernstein says they're close. He waits for Rebecca to open her Kreutz, unlocking Akasha's gates. Mentioning someone named Lise, he makes a cryptic promise. Rebecca cries in her room, remembering Evan trying to touch her eye only for her to slap his hand away. Evan just laughs and tells her it's House Bradley's decision, also her father can rise to the top of the 3 great houses. That's why he signed a contract with her father, he says, then threatens her using Maria. Blood trickles from Rebecca's left eye as she sobs. Later, Rebecca wakes up and relives a memory. She's on a battlefield, watching young Ray cradle a dead soldier, calling his name Howard. Ray tries to heal him, but Lydia stops him. When he demands to know why, she says he already knows the reason. Lydia orders him to come with her. Their mission isn't over. Ray resists, but she slaps him, reminding him it's a battlefield. She takes his hand, and they walk away. Rebecca sees Ray's tears as he leaves. The next day, in the student council room, Rebecca glances at Ray while he helps with her paperwork. Was he the one from her dream? Maria calls Ray outside to talk. He compliments her white hair and fair skin, making her blush. She mentions being close with Dina, and when Ray asks if this is about Rebecca, Maria confirms it. She compares herself to her sister, calling Rebecca perfect. Ray takes her hand, promising to save Rebecca and telling Maria she has a pure, beautiful heart, she shouldn't put herself down. Maria leans into him, calling him an idiot. Rebecca eavesdrops, confused. Why do they want to help her? Lying in bed, Rebecca replays Maria hugging Ray and wonders what her sister is even doing at her school. Ray seems clueless about the effect he has on girls, yet he got close to Maria. She decides it's not her place to interfere. Meanwhile, in Ray's room, Evie asks what he's doing. Reading a love story, he says, surprising Hirsch didn't peg him as the romance type. Ray summarizes the book. A girl, called a demon, lives isolated until she meets a young man. Having never interacted with humans, she doesn't understand emotions. Through their relationship, she starts to but the man avoids her, fascinated yet afraid of her powers. The girl waits endlessly, longing to understand her feelings for him. Ray stops there. Evie calls it depressing. Ray just hopes the demon girl finds happiness. The cultural festival prep goes smoothly. Late that night, Ray dreams of the past Howard's burial, the grief around him. In the dream, Rebecca approaches, asking who he is. He wakes up, startled, a bloody tear streaking his cheek. The next morning, during his jog, Ray runs into Rebecca. They chat about the festival starting that day. She almost questions his past, but stops herself, simply wishing him a happy festival. He thanks her. The festival kicks off. Ariane and Tiana visit Arnold Academy to check it out. Maria searches for Ray while Amelia tends to customers. Ray uses sorcery to transform into Lily, entering a maid cafe. Everyone gushes over how cute Lily is, charmed by her act. Meanwhile, Abby and Carol patrol the Academy tower, Carol bored, wishing she could tease Ray instead. After Lily's shift, Ray reverts and hangs out with Rebecca, remembering Dina's request to show her a good time. Rebecca sticks close, clinging to his arm as they explore the festival. Later, he walks her back to the student council room. She thanks him, almost mentioning the fireworks festival tomorrow, but stops herself and heads inside. After the first day of the cultural festival, during closing hours, Maria returns to her mansion clutching a photograph of her and Lilia girl, who shares her same white hair. Someone warns her that her sister will die if things continue as they are. Maria drops the photo in shock. Meanwhile, Ray is in a meeting room with his mentors. He presses Lydia about her earlier comment that Rebecca is going to die. Lydia reassures him, saying he's there to help save her. Bruno Bradley enters and pleads with Ray to rescue his daughter. Back at Ray's dorm, Evie urges him to reach out if anything happens. Ray insists he doesn't want to burden others, but thanks Evie for caring. In the forest, Evan Bernstein and the Glutton stand among a group of shadowy figures. Evan declares that Crides will awaken the next day. The Glutton doesn't care, so long as he gets to devour the ice blade. In Rebecca's room, she clutches her eyes as blood streams from them, overwhelmed by flashes of strangers' memories. Outside, Maria weeps at her sister's suffering. The next morning, during his jog, Ray spots Rebecca and pauses. She begs him to watch over Maria, explaining that she's engaged and will soon leave the Bradley house, leaving little time to see her. Confused, Ray wonders what's wrong, but she brushes it off. Elsewhere, Carla and Lydia meet Abby and Carol. Lydia announces it's time to move. Carol complains about working during the festival, but Lydia insists only for Carol to cheekily reply she's already finished. Lily cheers up Maria, who smiles and hugs her, asking for courage. They take a photo together before Maria leaves. Rebecca then meets Evan, who teleports her away after clasping her hand. Amelia confronts Lily, accusing her of trying to claim Maria too. She vows to stay wary, but Lily brushes her off and runs away despite Amelia's protests. Amelia's friends find her and ask what's wrong. Far from the academy, Evan sets Rebecca down inside a bubble barrier, coldly stating he's about to break her. In Kafka's forest, the Glutton and a masked hollow figure command an army of monsters, unleashed to hunt. Lily charges into the forest, slaughtering monsters. Hooded figures attack Ray, but Amelia teleports them to safety with her butterfly effect. She and her friends join the fight to support him. Maria rushes toward Rebecca, and Evan notices her pursuit. They team up to clear the forest of monsters. When the Glutton lunges for Amelia's engram, Ray shields her. The masked figure orders the Glutton to the hill, leaving them to handle the rest. Amelia tells Ray to chase the Glutton while she and her friends deal with the figure. Ray tears tears off his wig and sprints away. Flashback. Ray remembers his mentors and Bradley explaining that Kreutz emerges once every few centuries. Ray asks if Rebecca is Kreutz, but Lydia denies it. She can't control her sorcerer's eye. Bradley warns Rebecca won't live past 20 without mastering her power, and Maria's albinism is a side effect of Rebecca's Kreutz nature. Fearing Maria may also be affected, Bradley begs Ray to save his daughter. Now, Ray races up the hill toward Rebecca and Maria. A figure lands near Maria and Rebecca. Evan approaches him and asks if he goes by the name Morse. The mask comes off, revealing Evan underneath. He speaks to the other Evan, who transforms into the white-haired woman Marie saw before. Evan calls her Lisi and says it's been 10 years since they last met. Using magic, he restrains her, complaining that she always interferes with his plans. He accuses her of keeping his name alive even after he lost everyone in his household. Evan declares his intention to end things by using Kreutz to reach Akasa. He conjures flames around Rebecca, but Lisi extinguishes them and teleports Rebecca far away with magic. She shoves Evan back and traps him behind a barrier. Lise walks over to Maria and asks if she's made up her mind. She reassures her not to worry and lets Ray handle the situation. Maria wonders why Lise mentioned Ray, but Lise points out that Ray is already here. Ray lands, and the glutton eagerly prepares to fight him. Ray calls the glutton Paratrogo, identifying him as a sorcerer who devours others' engrams. The glutton charges at Ray, but Lise blocks him, telling him to wait. She has something important to discuss with Ray. Lise introduces herself as the sorcerer of fabrication. Ray asks if she orchestrated everything, and she confirms it. She suspects Lydia and the others know a little about her plans. Lise explains that she intends to let Rebecca overheat while Ray seals it in. Ray agrees and unlocks Kronos. She says only he can pull it off because he resonates with her. Lise adds that to save Rebecca, any method is justified. It's the contract she made with Rebecca's father. Ray notices her lack of concern, and she admits she has her own objectives. The glutton shatters Lisa's barrier, and she tells Ray to deal with him. Ray activates his magic and battles the glutton, but quickly realizes his overwhelming strength. Meanwhile, Lisi enters Evan's barrier. She tells him he can't reach her, but he stubbornly injects himself with a syringe. Lise reveals she knows his plans, and the potion he took it temporarily overheats his engram. Evan attacks, but can't touch her. Lise uses her prima materia on him, activating apotheosis. A bright light engulfs Evan as he burns, screaming. She explains that her destructive factor is making his engram self-destruct. Evan collapses, bleeding heavily. He asks if this power comes from the strongest sorcerer. Lise denies it, saying the true strongest is the Ice Blade. Ray exists on a whole other level. If any sorcerer could rule the world, she says, it would be Ray White. The Ice Blade sorcerer shall reign. Meanwhile, Ray's friends defeat the surrounding monsters, panting but proud of their progress. A massive monster appears and attacks them, but the Grand Sorcerers intercept the assault. They praise the students for their efforts and take over the remaining fights. The Grand Sorcerers effortlessly crush their enemies, leaving the students in awe. Ray battles the glutton, forcing him to unleash one of his strongest attacks. The blow sends Ray flying, and Rebecca panics for his safety. Maria snaps at Rebecca, blaming her for Ray's dire situation, accusing her of bottling up her feelings and keeping everyone in the dark. The glutton seizes Ray, slamming him against a wall, taunting that he'll savor him. Ray counters with a restoration compression spell, conjuring a crimson sword. Each strike from the blade freezes the glutton's body in red ice. Even as he solidifies, the glutton praises Ray, who then locks his powers and collapses. Rebecca rushes toward him, but Maria blocks her, lashing out for always playing the martyr. Rebecca fires back that Maria has no idea what she's endured, screaming that she's suffered for her sake. Maria slaps her, calling her an idiot, then breaks down, saying Rebecca acted selfishly and never asked for help. Rebecca shoves Maria to the ground, yelling that she had no choice but to endure. She strikes Maria's cheek, snarling that she hates her. Maria stands, telling Rebecca to wish her gone. Sobbing, Rebecca refuses. Maria is precious to her, and she loves her. Her eyes glow as she begins overheating. Maria sprints toward her, screaming her name. Ray wakes to see Lise teleport Evan beside him. He asks if Evan matters to her. Lise admits Evan was seduced by a demon and grew jealous, calling him a fool for abandoning his humanity. Ray studies her, recognizing the demon girl from his book. A tear rolls down Lisa's cheek as she murmurs that nothing goes as planned. She urges Ray to hurry to Rebecca. Lydia warns Ray's friends to stay back. Rebecca's overheating. Ray steps into her golden mana, telling Maria to retreat. She pleads for his help, and he agrees. Approaching Rebecca, he finds her crying blood. She whispers that she said awful things to Maria, and assumes Ray must hate her. He reassures her that conflicts happen, Maria still loves her. Cupping her cheek, he kisses her, using Kronos Lock to halt the overheating. That night, Bruno Bradley tells Lex the Ice Blade saved both his daughters, and asks Lex to relay his gratitude. Rebecca gazes at the sky, hearing footsteps. She calls for Ray, but Amelia appears instead, apologizing for not being him. Rebecca mentions her plans to watch fireworks with Ray, sparking Amelia's jealousy. Amelia teases that Rebecca should brace for competition Ray's popular. They bicker until shaking hands, vowing not to lose to each other. Clarice and Erisa join, complaining about being left out. Ray arrives, and they enjoy the fireworks together. The next day, Ray visits Howard's grave, apologizing for his absence. He shares his student experiences with the tombstone, smiling as he thanks Howard and his master for guiding him. Standing, he reflects she has friends now. Later, Ariana approaches Ray alone, inviting him to join the magic's war with her.